Hey, what's going on? My name is December, and I am going to show you how to make sample type beats inside of FL Studio for artists like Rylo Rodriguez, No Cap, Veeze, all them. So let's do it. We're gonna go into FL Studio, and in order to make a sample type beat, y'all are gonna need a sample.
That's the whole point.
Self-explanatory. I'm going to go into Splice, and I was actually browsing through the presets, or browsing through the samples. Found this one right here. I thought it would work well for this type of beat, so I'm going to go ahead and drag that into FL Studio. Got that in my DAW. Now, right now, the project tempo is set to 130 by default. Fortunately, I know the BPM of this sample is 138, so I'm going to go ahead and change that to 138. Now, if you don't know the BPM of the sample, there's a bunch of different ways you can find the BPM. You could look it up on like a key finder website, BPM website, or you could right-click on the tempo icon up here and go to tap, and then on your keyboard, you can hit a button, play the sample, listen for the tempo, and you can kind of figure it out that way. It's not perfect, but it'll get you close, and then if you need to, you can kind of time stretch the sample to fit the tempo. But in our situation, we already know the tempo is 138, so I'm going to switch that back to 138 and let you hear the sample first so you know what we're working with. So it's kind of got a soul vibe to it. So I'm going to go ahead, and if you double click on the sample, pull up this box. I'm going to go to mode, and I'm going to switch it to stretch. And I think I want this beat to be a little faster, so I can move the tempo now of the song, and the sample will remain locked to the grid, so it'll stay in tempo. So I think I want to go for like 154, 155. And we'll play the sample. You can tell it's still in tempo. So that's the tempo I want. Now, I'm gonna actually go back to mode here, and I'm gonna switch it to resample. And now listen to what happens when I speed up or slow down my beat. The sample actually starts to resample itself. So I think what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to slow this down to maybe about 145. Yeah, that's good. So I'm at 146. Switch it back to stretch. Now I'm going to go back and forth between stretch and resample and try to get the pitch how I want it, just by playing with this pitch knob over here. That's almost perfect. So I just bumped it up by 100 cents or one semitone. So now we're working in, what was this, B flat minor, B A sharp minor. So now we're working in B minor. So I'm gonna go ahead and just set the project key to B minor. All right, perfect. So now I'm going to go up to this little icon here on the sample, click that. I'm going to go to extract stems from sample. There's no drums in the sample. There's a bass, there's vocals, there's instruments. Extract. Wait for it to do its thing. Now you can see we got three different tracks. One is the bass, the other is the main melody, and the third is my vocals. So now that we got that stemmed out, I can kind of rearrange this sample the way I want it in terms of an intro, hook, chorus, verse, whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we're going to come back and add some drums to the sample. All right, so I went ahead and added some drums to this. I also structured out the sample. So we have an 8-bar intro. We have an 8-bar, I guess this would be intro 2 or pre-hook section with some drums, hi-hat, and snare, and then it drops into the hook or chorus or whatever you want to call it. And then we have the verse over here. So let me break down the drums for you. Like I said, I got the drums all laid out. I get my drum sounds from a bunch of different drum kits that I've collected over the last few years. Before I start my drums, I always go to the mixer, and on my master slot, I put a soft clipper. I swap that out for a soft clipper. I think by default it's a limiter, but if you really want your drums to slap, you'll definitely want a soft clipper on there. So anyway, first off, I started with the snare drum and the hi-hat, which together sound like this. Pretty simple two-step hi-hat pattern with a couple of rolls in there. Snare, of course, hitting on the 3. Next up, I got this open hat sound. Sounds like this. Then I added in this clav percussion sound. Next, I added in this clap or snap accent on the second snare of every bar. Then lastly, for the percussion, I added in this perk zap that I got from like a Detroit style drum kit. Just a real basic drum pattern with a lot of different ear candy accent stuff. Last but not least, we have the 808, and with that soft clipper on the master, it's going to make that slap. Now, a good tip for your 808s, if you're trying to hear if the notes are going to work with your sample, what you can actually do is pitch this up like 2 octaves so you can hear the pitch better. So when you're listening to the sample, we play the sample and the 808 together with that 808 pitched up. You can actually hear what's going on in the 808. And then, of course, just make sure you drop that back down. But that's a good way to make sure your 808 is working with the melody, especially if you're using a sample. So with all that put together, the only other thing I have is my producer tag and a little transition effect. Sorry if that was kind of loud. But with everything together, should get something like this.
Hey December.
thanks for watching. If you want to see any other kind of tutorials, me covering anything, I'm been mad bored, so I'll do that. I don't know. Peace.